This game gaslights you. Now, I can hear you thinking, how could a game even do that? Well, let me just show you.
I guess you have one more option. That should have killed you. What's happening? Don't worry, it'll all make sense soon.
So, about a week ago, I challenged myself to make a game that gaslights the player. And in this video, I will be attempting to finish it in just 1 week. And I will be turning it into a rage game. This should be easy. First, I need an idea, which is a problem, because I don't know about you, but I have none. So I did some research, and I found this pretty unknown game called Portal. I just have to make it fit the gaslighting theme. So the idea then is to make a Portal-style 3D puzzle game, except the game gaslights you into dying. So I started up a new Unity project, made a player, and set up a basic first-person player controller. Then, I got to work on a pickup system because I think it might be an important aspect of the game, and it now works pretty good. So after some questionable strange fixes, you can now kind of pick up and fling around surrounding objects. One of the gaslighting elements in the game will be fake guns, where if you grab a gun and try to shoot it, it will have a 50% chance of shooting confetti and a red flag. Just like the gun Joker used to have. So I started working on a gun model, but then I realized that I suck at 3D modeling. So I just downloaded this gun model and imported it into Unity. And after watching some tutorials, I have now created the most deadly gun. After a little more struggle, I finally sort of got it to work properly, apart from the fact that the bullets don't fly towards the middle of the screen, making the crosshair pretty much useless. But this is actually an intended gaslighting feature of the game, and definitely not a glitch I have no idea how to fix. And like I said, the gun also has a 50% chance that it shoots confetti and screws you over. Now that I have the guns finished, all I need to do is actually make a game. And how hard can that be? It's not like I spent half my time working on a gun that literally doesn't shoot. First, I started working on enemies, and since the game takes place in a facility, I decided to add a doctor. So I went to Google and there you go. I created a state-of-the-art, high-quality, not copied doctor enemy model. But the enemy doesn't really do anything at the moment. So I did some coding, and he now chases you while violently peeing on you. After a while, I decided to remove the peeing feature and gave him a proper gun. Yes, a thermometer, that's right. Because is it just me, or every time someone comes up to me to measure my temperature with one of those bad boys, I just think I'm about to get slimed out. But that could just be me. All I need now is animations. Good thing Miximo exists. I can just scroll through their collection of animations and download whatever I want. But I'm just gonna download the essential ones. Yeah, this was a great idea. So if I actually want the enemy to do something useful, I need to give it some AI. Except I don't know how to make AI. Lucky for me, I found this amazing tutorial by Dave that explains exactly what I need. Simply by watching this video, I will be able to create the most advanced artificial intelligence on the planet. And I did. As long as you ignore the fact that sometimes bullets will phase right through their bodies, and sometimes they tend to glitch a tiny little bit. But other than those small, minuscule issues, the enemy is perfect. Oh, and I also made this even more scary, more advanced, stronger, faster, and bigger evil bodyguard and gave him a shotgun. Now you might be thinking, what about the gaslighting part? Well, when you kill an enemy, it looks normal, right? Wrong. I made it so that there is a 20% chance that the enemy fakes it's dead and blows up when you come near it, which results in the player having start at the very beginning of the game. Next, I started working on map design using Pro Builder. And in the first level, I want to introduce the first gaslighting mechanic. The idea is simple. There is a door and a red button. The player will think that it has to place something on the button, but in reality, the door is already open. It just has a fake collider that the player has to find. After making this level, I pretty much ran out of ideas, so I sat down and did some brainstorming. And what seems like a pretty good list, time to make them a reality. Level 2. Here you can really see my artistic vision come to life. When the player enters the room, it will see a platform with the exit on top. But it is too high to jump onto, so the player has to open the door first to get the building blocks and find the button. But while the player is in the room, the platform secretly rises, making it way harder to climb. In level 3, there are these red and blue containers that the player has to put specific items in to open a door. And if it isn't obvious already when the player puts the necessary items in the containers, the door will not open, and it will secretly change the items necessary to open the door, making the player feel dumb. And you will also find the button in the corner. And before moving on to level 4, I started working on this outline material and a dissolving material using shader graph because I will need them for the next levels. Day 5. Today is day 5 of the challenge, and I started working on a new level, which will have this obstacle course that seems impossible. I won't talk too much about the solution for this level because you might still want to play the game if I haven't spoiled everything already. And after creating 2 more levels, I connected them together using hallways and a black fading animation to give the illusion of being in one big facility that you walk through. And now it's time to ramp up the graphics. I added in some post-processing, created real-time lighting, gave the enemies a red outline, and added some normal maps for the wall texture. Normal maps add some detail to the walls by changing how light reflects off of them. And now, the game looks much better. Moving on to sound design, I just grabbed some audio scripts from my other projects. And I also created a new script for a narrator that speaks to the player using the intercom in the facility. Once the player enters a certain trigger collider, it will play the voice line linked to the trigger, and it will also stop all other voice lines that are still playing so that you can only hear one line at a time. Taking a break from audio, next, I put a ton of effort into creating this amazing top-of-the-line main menu. And I started adding all the triggers that play voice lines, mark levels as completed, and activate traps. And back to audio, I started recording the actual voice lines for the intercom using 11 labs.
Huh? That should have killed you. What is happening? Now that you're here, why don't I tell you some stuff? I see here in your file that you robbed 23 banks in your lifetime. I gotta say that is pretty impressive. You also killed 67 people, and you were in the military too. Well, thanks for your service. Anyway, what are you planning to do with your life when this is all over? I would recommend laying low. Maybe starting a family somewhere.
Day 7, the last day. I started by downloading some free sound effects on the internet.
Good for you. Anyway, a couple of doctors are waiting for you.
And there are quite a few things that I have to get done, like adding graffiti onto the walls, fixing bugs, adding speaker models in the facility, and optimizing the game. And now the game is just about done, so I revisited the main menu, which, now that I'm looking at it, isn't quite as top of the line as I thought. The plan is just to add a small room with walking enemies and a rotating camera just like in the Minecraft main menu. And the very last thing I did is adding a pause menu so that the player can actually leave or restart the game. I think we're done. I guess I can finally rest now or something.
You are probably wondering how you ended up here. But don't worry, you're not dead, and you're not in jail. Just chill out, man. You're lucky you didn't die in that car crash. I told you to put a dead bodyguard and a toothbrush in the red box, and a pistol and fire extinguisher in the blue box. Why did you mess it up? I taught you were smart.
If you somehow want to play this game, you can download it on itch.io using the link down below, and I challenge you to beat it in first try. It's impossible. In total, I spent about a week and a half creating this game, so I did fail the challenge, unfortunately, but I did have a lot of fun making it, and I might update it in the future. However, you should totally subscribe and join my Discord anyways because I tried very hard.